What I needed was not a new weapon, but a new animal.
A new animal?
Exactly so.
You found one?
Yes. Here on my island, I hunt the most dangerous game.
Most dangerous game?
Most dangerous game? What could it be?
The game I am hunting is all of you.
We are going to hunt you cricket.
What happens if I get caught?
Ooh, don't get caught. Don't get caught. Oh, there he goes.
Hunt men? You raving maniac.
Well, conventional wisdom says good fleeing will always beat good chasing. But the stats say put your money on the guy with the gun.
And the hunt begins.
Indeed. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Most Dangerous Podcast. I am Travis Fishburne.
Hi, I'm Alex Brunel.
And I'm Dustin Meadows.
And this is a show about different incarnations of the Most Dangerous Game. And this week we are going to be covering the 2007 Scott Wiper classic WWE film, The Condemned.
I don't want to start out and set the precedent for having too many wiper jokes throughout this show, but at the end of the movie, my wife did say that perhaps his first name is Scott after the toilet paper.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm sorry, Scott Wiper. You're the guy who started making movies with that last name. Like, everybody changes their names.
Yep.
Sorry, Scott.
Lack of forethought on his part for damn certain.
So Dustin, this was your pick. You had seen this before, right?
Yes. I saw this when it originally came out in theaters.
The WWE film's original.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fairly early-ish into their foray into producing films. This was... I don't know what number, but I think the first one they were attached to was The Rundown with The Rock and Sean William Scott. And then there were
I remember that movie.
a few more. They might have actually also had a hand in The Scorpion King, too.
Really? Pursued by law enforcement? So, like, that's just an answer to the audience question is, where's the law enforcement? But the story works better without it.
Oh, yeah. It also, like, I doubt that there were reshoots, but it feels like the kind of thing that happened... Like, is they're like, oh, we need to fill this out more, or the audience is going to have questions. No, we're not.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, there are a lot of things about it that were dumb, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
These are all true things. And also, I have not been speaking for a while because there were some weird issues, audio issues with OBS, and I had to restart the whole system, start it back up. So, as far as live streams go, we've been interrupted, and it should be back up and running now. I don't know. But
great. Well,
anyways.
To anyone who may be watching the live stream, sorry.
Yeah, we need Rick Hoffman in our corner. That's what we need.
We need Rick Hoffman. So Trev, what did you think of the movie overall?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was giving me really weird, not Jurassic Park, but specifically Jurassic World vibes.
I can see that.
Felt like that.
Yeah.
And, you have this whole people being at this control center on an island and being exploitative for money. And then, instead of dinosaurs, we've got convicts. And they start going crazy. And they're going towards us and our base. And our security is not up to par. Which I found that to be an interesting thing. When the camera guy was like, we don't have cameras pointed at us. So I'm like, you guys don't have security cams?
Yeah, they seem very security focused.
Yeah.
For such an oversight.
Yeah, and also it's like, hey, we're on an island with 10 convicted murderers.
And that was another thing is I just thought, oh, they're putting them on an island by themselves. And when I realized their base was on the same island, I'm like, this is a big oversight. Why'd you guys do
reckless. especially when like their only form of security is like, what if we have a tall, well, what if we have a regular sized fence?
Yeah.
Just a regular one. It's too costly to put the taller one onto the shipping container.
That Stone Cold easily bypasses halfway through the movie.
And then another thing that it has in common with Jurassic World is the guy who's in charge of the whole thing. Both of them die when one of the assets gets loose and crashes their helicopter that they're piloting.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
I also like realized that this movie came in the wake of the massive popularity of Survivor still being super popular in 2007 and
Yeah.
Lost, which was still on the air at the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Lost influence in the way this movie is staged.
Yeah, with the couple especially, I got like kind of like,
Yes.
oh, this is the Lost B story vibes.
Totally, 100%. The kind of how their look too, honestly, like
Yeah.
the way in which their clothes are aged and tattered.
Mm-hmm. It's got to have that right hue of like dirty beige to all
Yeah.
of it.
It's a really specific look.
We need the right kind of khakis for Stone Cold to wear.
Yep.
Because he has a contractual tone for his khakis. Like there's a Pantone strip included in the rider.
And another thing too is you say it's like hyping off of Survivor and Lost, and this is also before streaming. So like the whole thing
right.
is he's pushing like we're gonna do it on the internet, and the other like people are gonna watch this on the internet. What are you talking about?
Well, and this is also like, God, maybe right around the infancy of YouTube, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh,
like possibly,
yeah, like 06, 07, yeah.
Yeah, like
still short form
right around there.
Yeah, but like this is an interesting era too, because this was not the only thing in like the aughts that tackled like web streaming in a prescient and unrealistic way. The other one I'm thinking of is Fear.com.
I was as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, I hope it's Fear.com.
Yeah, it's like these movies that like they do the opposite of what I think movies like Searching and The First Unfriended do so well, which is they display computers and the internet being used in a way that totally serves the story and does not reflect reality or anybody's reality in any way. And I always find that very frustrating. And I did find it deeply frustrating in this movie. And I actually made the point, like, they're watching it on like the 4x3 rear projection big screen TV they have in the bar. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea, unless that's a media center PC that they're streaming on, do you have any idea how big of a pain in the ass it would be to hook up that laptop to the TV in the bar in 2007? Like, that's just not like a thing that anyone's prepared to do unless that bartender is like me. And the web stream was like quality that we as humanity only kind of got to in like 2020.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it is an opposite problem that currently watching Enterprise, and one of the things that they do is they give Captain Archer he loves to watch water polo, and so he's always watching water polo games in his room on a really shitty monitor that looks like he's watching it within a box on the monitor on some QuickTime file, and I'm like, this looks terrible for what you're trying to show us is the future.
Oof.
But this has the opposite effect, where that's what this movie should have had. But this is showing us the most high def.
Totally. But that's a forgivable thing. It's just funny. This is one of the, like you said, like you mentioned, Dustin, this is like one of those morality play movies. Like where you're being lectured to by someone named Scott Wiper. So I felt like once that realization was dawning on me, I was kind of like, I kind of reacted the same way I did the first time I saw Eli Roth's Knock Knock, or the only time I've seen it. where like it became apparent at the end, like it was this, here's like spelled out the morality message of this movie. And I'm like, I'm not going to take a lesson from Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not doing it.
But what if it's Keanu Reeves, but using Eli Roth's words?
Keanu is a hired performer. I don't expect him to 100% believe in everything or everyone he has ever worked for. So, Eli Roth scumbag.
All right, and that's the show for this week.
Now, one of the other things that vexed me was the main villains, like the dude who put it all together, his like kind of
Breck.
motivations and goals. Yes, yes.
Breck.
Short
Like,
for Breckle.
His goal was to blow the Super Bowl out of the water. It's like, do you have any idea like how much money like gets thrown at that thing every year? Like, you expect to beat that thing with like no sponsors, no advertisers. Like, also by charging $50 a pop to watch what is essentially the most expensive pay-per-view ever made.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
a pay-per-view until she had to go to the bar and be like, I've got to give them my credit card for $50. I'm like, what? This
I
is
know a
insane.
guy with a laptop, my bartender.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
gonna leave
that's
the kids at
also
home
like,
alone.
you don't have internet at home? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like broadband was fairly widespread by that point, even in the country.
Yes.
There's still not broadband in a lot of rural parts of the United States.
There was broadband in the part of the United States that I lived in, which was rural as hell. Because it's the
Fair.
same part that Travis lived in.
Yeah.
Well, like Ohio from time to time had Democrats in government, which Texas never has.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that might not be true.
But they
I'm
still
assuming
like
it is.
internet. That's how they look at all their child pornography.
That's true. I mean, I don't know, man. 2007. Who knows what was going on back then?
It definitely was a story workaround. It was like,
Yeah,
how do
for
we
sure.
how do we gather all these people together for the third act to be lectured at by the
Right.
Barbara Walters?
Yeah, one of my notes reads Texas weeps.
Yeah.
Because that happens. They all feel shame. I want to talk about real quick. I want to talk about some of the personnel on this movie. Just two of the personnel, really. So Scott Weiper co-wrote this screenplay with a writer named Rob Hedden, and that's not maybe the most significant name, but the whys of it are interesting. He was a writer on MacGyver. He was a writer on Alfred Hitchcock Presents. He was a writer on Friday the 13th, the series, and he wrote Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh.
He wrote Knight Rider 2000, the 1991 attempt at reviving Knight Rider.
I was not aware such a thing existed.
And then like a lot of kind of just junk. I don't know what these are. 1995, The Colony. 1995, Kidnapped. When the Cradle Falls, 97. I don't know. But he also wrote Clock Stoppers.
Ooh.
Which...
With Jesse Bradford?
Jonathan
Yes, and
Frakes
correct me if I'm
directed.
wrong, is that the final feature directed by Jonathan Frakes?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It might be the last theatrical, but I was literally looking up Jonathan Frakes' filmography recently. I was like, what? And
I mean, I know he's been directing TV since.
yes, a lot of that.
I also didn't know that Jonathan Frakes directed Clock Stoppers, and now I'm going to watch it sooner than I had planned to.
It's a good choice. He directed this Thunderbirds movie?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Like the Puppet Thunderbirds?
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
2004 weird revival puppet Thunderbirds movie directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah,
Was
the
that
last,
the Thunderbirds Are Go?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but the last feature that he did, but yeah, Thunderbirds would have been the last theatrical, and then
Yeah.
he did these two librarian movies.
Oh, the Noah Wiley ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did 2 and 3.
Oh, wow.
Or no, 1 and 3? Or I don't know what
1 and
those are.
3, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a regularly working TV director. Like, happy that he's regularly working, although he's He should be directing movies. The movies that he directs are fun.
Yeah.
He has a style. It's a quiet style, and it's not like the most distinct, but it's there and good. So that's Rob Hedden. That's weird. And then the music is by a composer named Graham Revell.
Yeah, I saw that. I was surprised to see him attached to this.
So, and I'm sure that name's familiar to you also, Travis, yes?
Maybe.
So
He
I'm
scored a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to read a bunch of titles. I looked him up because I realized when I was watching the opening credits of this movie, I haven't seen him in the credits for a while. I wonder what the deal is. So I just looked up his filmography, and I also, in my head, thought this is probably one of those guys who was in some like fringe band that had one hit and then found his way into film composing. And that was totally true. He was in an experimental electronic act in Australia and then transitioned into film composing with the movie Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman in '89.
That's a fantastic movie.
Titles since then, I've never seen it, but I want to. I'm just gonna read the ones that are pinging to me, but there's still gonna be a lot of them. Child's Play 2, Psycho 4, The Beginning, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Body of Evidence, Boxing Helena, The Crush, Hard Target, The Crow, SFW, Street Fighter, Basketball Diaries, Tank Girl, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, Strange Days, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Craft, Fled, Crow City of Angels, The Saint, Spawn, Suicide Kings, Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, the direct-to-video sequel, and then in the same year, The Negotiator. Strike, Bride of Chucky, Idle Hands, Three to Tango, Bats, Pitch Black, Gossip Titan AE, Red Planet, the Dune miniseries from 2002, Blow, Human Nature, directed by Michel Gondry, Below, Daredevil, Freddy vs. Jason, Open Water, Jesus, we're still going, Walking Tall, 1 or 2 seasons of CSI Miami, Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Precinct 13 remake, Sin City, Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D, The Fog remake, Aeon Flux. Anyway, I'm going to give up now, but you understand, like, he kept going. He did all the Riddick movies, you know, all over TV for a while. He got a regular job doing Gotham in, like, toward the beginning of Gotham. And since then, in 2015, has composed 3 fan films. That's it. He, retired, from what I can tell on the internet, which is literally, like, one post on one message board. He decided he had done enough and had enough money and moved with his family back to Australia and kind of retired from composing for film.
Well, I mean, as a completist,
25 years of doing it.
The next Riddick movie.
Yeah, and that was even a question on will he come out of retirement to do the next Riddick movie? I would. And it's interesting because like some of these scores are actually like really, really good. Like The Crow is a really good score.
The Crow's a fantastic score.
Do you have other favorites, Dustin, that jump out at you?
I have a soft spot for all of the Riddick movies, and the scores are also no exception to that.
Sound went down. You keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah. The Riddick movies are good. Honestly, the score to Daredevil might be one of the only good parts of it. Dead Calm is also fantastic. Like, Dead Calm is great. I cannot recommend Dead Calm enough to anyone. It's also the second best Billy Zane performance after Demon Knight.
Ooh.
So, for that alone, if anyone takes nothing else away from this, let it be that you need to go watch Dead Calm immediately.
I think I'm back.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Very good. So, yeah. Oh, heck. You're going to have to sync this recording now, Trav, because
no, that's fine.
It bunked my recording. So, yeah, Graham Revell. And he was an interesting guy, too, because he was one of these composers that could do really good work and could phone it in like crazy. He'd lift from himself all the time. He was doing that a long time before Hans Zimmer was stealing from himself. So, yeah, those are the names I wanted to call out. There's a lot of weird, you know, I feel like a lot of people have unrealized emotional connections to Graham Revell's music.
And
Yeah.
then, like, as far as the cast goes, I mean, aside from Vinnie, like it's unremarkable, the cast.
Yeah.
But like Steve Austin, who, like I've seen other stuff he's in, like The Longest Yard is the only other, and The Expendables. I've seen those two, but
Yeah.
other than that, and here's the thing: is just for the longest time, I and probably still to this day can't really keep straight between Stone Cold and Goldberg.
They do have very similar vibes.
Yeah, two big wrestling bald guys with goatees, like similar body types, and in a lot of the
Really like the opening scene.
It peaks in the opening. The opening is the best,
Yeah.
and then any scene that isn't Goldberg after is trash. Like New Bev just showed it at the beginning of the year for their Holiday Horrors Marathon, and that closed it out. And I was like, oh man, this was the longest 80 minutes I've felt in a while. And I'd seen it before, but like I forgot just how completely you don't give a shit about anyone that isn't Saul Rubin and Goldberg or Saul Rubinek.
I love Saul Rubinek so much.
Same, he's fantastic.
Put him and Rick Hoffman in a movie together. Like, let those two guys co-lead a movie, and it's just going to be this weird manic energy for 90 minutes, and it'd be fantastic.
I am fully on board. They did my boy Rick Hoffman dirty in this.
They did. The finale of Santa's Sleigh like a curling competition?
It is, yes. With was it Robert Culp, I believe?
I should actually have to make a note of that pairing of actors, because I don't know if I'm ever in a position to hire actual actors. That'd be a good tag team.
Yeah, fantastic tag team.
Saul's getting a little old, but whatever, he can still do the job.
Oh yeah.
That's my only connection with Steve Austin. Everybody else in this movie, I don't really have anything for, except there's one, and it's not a contraction, but it is like a very, like, I think Tori Mussett, who plays Breckel's girlfriend, who loses faith in him after he starts, exploiting people's lives for money.
This is the blonde woman with the conscience. I just want to remember,
the blonde British woman.
Blonde woman with the conscience.
Because the movie doesn't name basically anybody.
Nope.
So I have her in my notes as blonde with a conscience. I have doesn't wear glasses in real life, and I have bird face goatee.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Okay, so blonde with a conscience. What do we know her from?
Blonde with a conscience. The only thing I know her from is she is in The Matrix Reloaded. She is who Merovingian delivers the special orgasm cake to. Who has an orgasm from a cake.
And that got her this
job. Not a line in that movie at all.
The one other one that I didn't recognize immediately, I was kind of deep diving, but it actually popped out. I was like, oh, I've seen this in other stuff. Besides Nathan Jones, the other wrestler, who's in Fury Road and some other stuff, is Manu Bennett, who's the dude with the wife. He went on to play Deathstroke in Arrow.
Oh, I see that.
He's also in 30 Days of Night. He's Josh Hartnett's deputy. And then he is also Azog the Defiler in the Hobbit trilogy.
Defiling up the place. That's great.
Yeah.
He's got one of those faces that blends well into like kind of any vaguely European group of human beings.
Very much, which is why I didn't recognize him before I did like kind of the dive into the cast names and everything.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I was not the most impressed with Steve Austin, the actor.
No.
He wasn't terrible. He was certainly better than CJ.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Fucking toe was in that first movie.
It was after this movie that I realized, like, okay, I can tell the difference between him and Goldberg now. Goldberg has much more screen presence.
Fair.
Yeah, Stone Cold, I will say, I don't feel like they threw anything at him that he couldn't manage in this.
No, the thing is, like, I get what his character is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like he's cool, calm, and collected, so none of this is phasing him.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't really know how to dial in the humanity, so it just kind of whole thing plays like he doesn't care that much.
No, it feels more like he's trying to figure out how to be a person when his primary on-camera experience is either beating people up or cutting promos against other wrestlers.
Right. Like I think there was even a line in the scene that's like supposed to be the emotional scene where he's calling his girlfriend in Texas where he says like I'm not good at this. But it was
Yeah,
like
oh
very
boy.
brief. And
Yeah,
he's not good at this.
yeah, oh boy, yeah, it did a lot of that stuff did not work, the emotional beats. I'm trying to see, I think this is his first like acting gig.
Like the first lead.
I think it might be his first. Okay. Oh right, no, The Longest Yard was before this. This is definitely his first lead role. Because yeah, he's a smaller part in Longest Yard. So yeah, this is his first lead, and it definitely shows. And then I have to assume that looks like he's done some other stuff since, but it's a lot of direct-to-video stuff, surprisingly.
Surprise, surprise.
But yeah, this is the first time he carried a movie.
Yeah.
Or well, it was put on him to anyway.
Yeah. So I guess we haven't even said the plot of this movie. The plot is like there's 10 condemned death row criminals, or so we're led to believe, that are collected by seemingly a private citizen that produces television with a bunch of money who has rented an island away from international law with the intent of having these people kill each other for sport to win a competition to like leave the island alive, basically.
Yeah, it's just the Running Man privatized, basically.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's fully what it is.
Which is very weird because it's like, I still feel like he wouldn't have even been able to get as far as he did with this whole thing.
Also, like, how is he promising these people their freedom without the involvement of any kind of governments or anything? It's like, oh,
Right.
if you win, you get your freedom. It's like, you can't give them that. Like, what?
Right. Like, you can't just set Vinnie Jones loose in Europe and just like let him go. It's not gonna work.
It's also weird too, because like out of all the Running Man like style like movies I've seen, like I think this is one of the only ones I can think of immediately where it's like not like government sanctioned or like part of like a bigger thing. Because like even something like Gamer.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think that qualifies enough. Although I would not be mad if we did Gamer
today because I'm like, oh, I want to do a Neville, Dean and Taylor, but it doesn't qualify.
Yeah, it's hard to make the case for that. But like even something like Gamer, like it's part of like a bigger thing. It's not like some weird like fringe thing.
Right.
I had another one but I'm completely blanking on now. Besides, like Hunger Games. Same thing where it's like, oh, this is like a state sanctioned event.
Right.
But like this is like, oh, this is just what if Elon Musk got bored?
Yeah. Pretty much. You know, and I'm gonna say at this point, I am 100% in favor of doing like a Neville, Dean and Taylor podcast because they only directed 5 films together. That'd be easy to get through.
Yeah.
Numbers wise.
If we're counting spin-off wise, I think, or not spin-off wise, but like separately, I think Neville Dean did Mom and Dad with Nick Cage.
Oh yeah, if we're doing separately, like Mark Neville Dean has done like really interesting stuff aside from that was Taylor that did
Taylor, okay.
Mom and Dad.
Either way, I was very excited when I found that out, and Mom and Dad is a very fun, very short watch.
Yeah. Mom and Dad's great. I think I've talked about it before on the podcast, but there's a scene in that movie that is a masterclass in acting and directing, and is
it the scene with Cage in the basement?
Yeah, it's Cage and Selma Blair in the basement, where like Cage is going, and you're like, this is incredible. Like, how can the other performer in this scene, Selma Blair, like rise to this that's going on right now? And then she does.
Yeah,
and it has like almost no place in this movie that is so absurd surrounding it. But like you could extract that 6 minutes of this movie and show it in any class about acting, directing, or filmmaking. It's fantastic. But yeah, I do that podcast.
Yeah.
So
and then
then we can talk about Gamer there.
Neveldine he's married to Alison Lohman. And,
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I like is so weird because I saw like a thing for Alison Lohman. Like she like retweeted something about Drag Me to Hell recently, and I'm like, what is she up to right now? And she like has retired from acting. She does teaching. She does acting, teaching, and I just saw like all these weird posts like about like some faith-based movie, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then I didn't even find it out then. I found it out later, like when somebody asked like, what happened to like Neveldine and Taylor? And someone's like, didn't Neveldine like lose his mind and like he's crazy with Alison Lohman? I'm like, what? He like they're married? This is crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh no.
I'd
So,
say
yeah.
like Drag Me to Hell's the last thing I can remember seeing her in.
And I always wonder about the dissolution of those like Hollywood bro teams. Like these guys are like Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin.
Mm.
Yeah.
Emmerich just didn't have shit without Devlin, quite honestly.
No. When did that split happen?
I think Devlin was not involved in The Day After Tomorrow. I think.
Yeah, timeline wise, that sounds about right.
I'm gonna confirm, but yeah. I mean, like I know they did Independence Day and Godzilla and Stargate together, and I think that was kind of it.
Did they do Universal Soldier together?
I don't think they did it together.
Okay.
No, they did not. I think that was Emmerich by himself.
That is the one thing that I will always go to bat for Roland Emmerich over.
That's fair. I mean, like a lot of these guys had like the actual interesting stuff early in their career, and then they just succumbed to, you know,
The usual bullshit.
derivation.
Yeah.
There's a
Guy Ritchie.
there's a one of Terry Gilliam. Yes, exactly, Guy Ritchie. One of Terry Gilliam's like lesser seen movies is this 2005 movie called Tideland that he made like during production of The Brothers Grimm when that was getting held up for, you know, Terry Gilliam reasons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great movie, and there's a great making of documentary on the DVD and Blu-ray that's actually directed by Vincenzo Natali, who made Cube and Nothing and some other good movies. Splice. He did Splice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's this and the lead of the film is like a little girl. I forget how old she is. She's like 7 or something. She's less than 10 years old. And Gilliam is talking to her, and he uses the word derivative, and she doesn't know what that means, and she asks about it. And he explains like, oh, that's when somebody does something that is kind of just copying another person's work, and it's not really adding anything new. Like, for example, Roland Emmerich is derivative of Steven Spielberg. He's like just giving that example to a child as if it could possibly mean anything to them.
Amazing.
So yeah, I always think of that. Oh yeah, the movie, yes, a reality show. That's kind of, I mean, like this is Ed TV and the Truman Show already happened. So like we have, you know, versions of this movie. I think Wrong Turn 2 had already happened by this point as well.
I think so, yeah.
That's a better reality show based horror thriller.
I still need to watch that. I've heard nothing but good things about 2. I've only
2
seen
is
the
great.
first.
2 is so great.
So yeah, they
Now
get
I'm
everybody
watching
on the
Universal
island,
Soldier.
and then they also add the like the Suicide Squad element of we put these things on you. If you try to
the
mess with
ankle.
us,
Oh, right.
escape, we're gonna blow you up. And then that
Those made for
becomes
some
the-
fun scenes.
Yeah, fun scenes, and it becomes the main method of them killing each other. Is I'm gonna.
I'd say
mess with your
I think a
thing.
third of them are taken out
Yeah.
by their ankle bracelets.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just that one woman, the one who I called Quiet Lady. It's just her move.
Yeah, even on herself.
Even on herself. She's like, nope, I'm out. I've had enough here.
Yeah, I took an arrow to the midriff.
I see the literal escape hatch, but I'm tapping out. I'm done.
Yep, nope, I'm out. I also there are at least 2, maybe 3 fights where someone tries that move on someone. 4 people get taken out by the ankle things, because that's how Nathan Jones goes too. Although it's not from Stone Cold activating, it's from him like falling outside the boundary or something.
Right. Yeah, and then he blows up as he gets pushed over the cliff, which was cool. There's a lot of actually really fun deaths in this movie.
Yeah, like the violence is solid. Like
Yeah.
even if it's not shot as well as it could be.
The guy
Yeah, like
they
they eject the contestants onto the island by unceremoniously chucking them out of a helicopter, and they just accidentally throw one guy right onto a pike.
Yep. Oh my God. Do you think this movie created Fortnite?
Does that happen in Fortnite? I have no clue.
So in Fortnite, essentially, it's like a flying bus that drops you onto the island that you're fighting everyone on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Um,
I played it for about a week before I realized, like, oh, I hate playing online with other people. This is why I only play single player games.
yeah. Reminds me, honestly, more of one of my favorite deaths in Freddy, or no, not Freddy versus Jason, Jason X, where
Oh,
someone
the
gets
screwed?
impaled. Yeah, where someone gets impaled on a giant screw that's there for some reason, and then his cohorts come across him and say, "He's screwed."
I think it's a mining drill or something like that.
Oh, for
But
space
whatever,
mining.
yeah. But it's got the striations, so he just slowly winds down it.
It's a great
Oh.
moment. I mean, that's a really, really fun movie.
I mean, it is a movie full of pretty great moments.
Yeah. A great movie it is not, but a collection of great moments it does have.
Oh yeah. I mean, anytime you can bring back beating someone to death in a sleeping bag against a tree, I'm on board.
Oh my God. What do they call themselves? The girls refer to themselves as like horny virgins or something? Or like
No, but they do say, "Hey, do you want to have premarital sex and smoke pot?"
that's what it is. That's the line. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Just brilliant. All right. The Condemned. Travis, did you want to go more down the line?
Yeah, I would say one other weird thing is how crazy into it the entire production staff was as soon as people started blowing up and everyone's cheering like, yeah, fuck yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
And then a terrible sexual assault happens and it becomes very somber, and then after that
Right.
they were like, no, this is too much. What did we do? Murder was okay, but
We all signed up for murder.
Yeah.
We did not know there was going to be rape. We did not know.
Yeah. Well, and even then, it's like it's only the British girl and Rick Hoffman who were like really bothered by it to the point where they say something. Like it,
Right.
when the tech crew gets killed at the end, it's like, I don't feel bad for any of you. Like Rick Hoffman at least like tried to act on his conscience.
Yeah, there's
Um,
I did think the scene I mean like I'm sure that the goal of this was to try to make him but look a bit like a cult leader, but like there's a scene where the producer of a television program makes his crew pledge their allegiance to him.
Yeah.
Theoretically under threat of murder, which, we later see is, probably the case.
Yeah. It's also weird too, because like, so clearly, like Rick Hoffman and the British lady, like they had those feelings in there because they were, like his girlfriend especially is like, what brought these people together? Like the whole movie I was trying to figure out, I was like, why is this woman dating this guy who is doing this thing that she has known from the jump what it was about, and she clearly has not been into it the whole time.
Right.
And then like Rick Hoffman, like at one point he even says like they're best friends. I was like, I don't get a best friends vibe from you guys.
Yeah, I wrote down what he said because it was so ridiculous. He said, "He's my boss, and yet he's my best friend. He's a genius."
Yeah.
This is I love this actually because this is when so Goldie, who's the Rick Hoffman and Conscience Lady have a conversation and they form an alliance. Like there's like 3 points in my notes where they form an alliance. And it seems like the movie would be setting up like, oh, they're going to craft some way to bring this down. But instead, the next scene is them just going to the murderous producer maniac and asking him nicely if he'll stop.
Yeah.
Which goes about as well as you could imagine it would go. That's all.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of stuff in here where it's like, it just seems like it's done. It's like, oh, this is, a scene that we have to have in here.
yeah. And
It's
at the
like,
end, like, Breck slaps Blondie, which Angela predicted the moment before was going to happen. He's like, he's going to slap her, and then
oh
smack. She goes, I was trying to save you. And then the music does a sensual guitar slide. So thanks, Graham Revell, for that musical cue in that moment.
Well, the full quote is something along the lines of,
Oh, thank you.
Like, were you going to try to save them or somebody? And she's like, no, I was trying to save you.
He says, were you really trying to save that whore? I believe is the exact.
Yes, that is correct.
So it's like, oh God, you're evil and you're also gross and awful on top of that too.
Yep.
Yeah. Save that person that you set up to be sexually assaulted to the point where she was so... Five people kill themselves using the ankle things. It's half. Because that's how she goes too. She kills herself after that. Jesus Christ.
That's true. Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah.
And then, well, like, they kill him with one too, although he's not wearing it. They just pull the pin and chuck it into the chopper.
That's true. So yeah, of the 10 playing, half are killed by that. And then the guy who put it together.
Yeah. What a movie. I made the point that the island looks like Tomb Raider. I made the note.
Yeah.
I've played the newer Tomb Raider games, and it looks like every single one of them.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, it does.
Like, what's this random bunker? What's this random plane fuselage just overgrown?
Yeah.
It's set pieces in the Tomb Raider game.
You got Vinnie Jones going on a killing spree. That was pretty.
Oh, that was a fun scene.
Yeah. Oh,
that was
yeah.
A fun scene.
That fire starter needle drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, this movie sprung for Firestarter. Okay.
Yeah. There were a couple because there's
a couple cuts.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of like big needle drops. Like as soon as he picks up the gun, you're like, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
It's like, oh hell yeah.
Oh, you know what? I was looking in the soundtrack listing. Also, one of the techno tracks is part of the score from Run Lola Run.
Oh wow, okay.
It's the solid state remix of Casino, co-written by Tom Twyker.
Huh.
So yeah, there's some trivia for you. And there's a Ryan Adams song in the movie. There's also the Nickelback, and I'm gonna make, I said this to you guys in text, but like the movie finishes with a Nickelback needle drop. And also, I wasn't necessarily sure if this was Nickelback when it immediately started, because like I just assumed that like every band that sucked from this one specific era like all sound exactly like that. So I thought it could have been any one of them,
Yeah.
But it was Nickelback, and I realized this movie looks like a Nickelback song sounds. Like, yes, it looks like a long Nickelback music video to me. This would definitely be a USA Saturday afternoon.
I would say all of the parts that are back in Texas with his girlfriend, 100% just an ongoing Nickelback music video.
Like the green makes me, I don't know. I get synesthesia a little bit sometimes, and like I kind of see that color when I hear Nickelback.
Okay.
It's a weird thing. Used to be stronger when I was a kid. I'm trying to think of like anything. Oh right, this scene was actually really funny. There was the other American in the competition was this black man. And there's like this one point in the movie where the quiet lady, who's a black woman, they find each other, and they, for a moment, form an alliance. And they're like chilling by the fire, and she's like massaging him and like being way overt, way fast, and he doesn't think that's weird at all. So he just starts going into his story, and the camera does like a slow push in on him as he's telling his life story. And then like you start subtly hearing the beeping of the ankle bracelet bomb, and realizes that she has left after he's just told this story about how his fiance or wife left him, and then goes, "Bitch got me again," and then explodes.
Yep. Yeah,
That was funny.
the second time we get to see her run away from a dude she just blew up.
Yeah. That was a well executed gag.
Yeah, no, that was a good bit. Well, because
I was
yeah,
not expecting it.
what it was his previous girl is the one who narked him out to the Malaysian
Mm-hmm.
authorities.
Right. It had relevance to the story, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also still very funny.
Uh, what else? Is there anything else worth talking about in this movie? I mean, Vinny shooting everybody up was just a great scene of just Vinny straight up murdering all the people who had just made this happen. First off was the girl who never has worn glasses in her life before,
Yeah,
who is just seemingly there but very enthusiastic about the violence.
Yeah, she was very enthusiastic. I kind of thought that it was going to be an additional turn of betrayal of like her and Breck like making out at one point because there was a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of
they
that
definitely
energy
seemed
going on.
close
I
throughout.
could have totally seen that, but I also totally believe that she had no clue where he had gone. Like
Yeah,
at the same time as I very much was getting those vibes. I was also getting the vibes that she's low on the totem pole overall.
yep. And then he kills everyone else, including not John Hawkes.
Yeah, Birdman goatee or Birdface
Yep,
goatee,
yep.
who just grows a conscience in his last like 30 seconds of existence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
like
screams, "Please
yeah,
no!"
it's like, oh no, now that the violence that I've had a hand in creating is affecting me, I feel some kind of way about it.
I feel some kind of way. Turns out I do have feelings.
Yeah, I will say, on the note of Stone Cold's performance, he does get that great kill line on Jones at the end.
Oh
After he talks
yeah,
about like how his government used him, he's like, "Oh, sounds like a hard life. Good thing it's over."
that was a good
That
one.
was a really good finishing one-liner.
And then definitely shoots him like way more times than he needs to.
That scene is hysterical because he unloads on him. There's I think more than 6 shots he unloads because
he,
he's like got a
he
machine
unloads
gun
almost
trained
an
on him.
entire clip.
Yeah, he's got a machine gun trained on him, but then executes him with the handgun he picked up from the assistant like a couple scenes before.
Yeah,
Uh, and the movie goes into like slow motion and like huge impact camera shakes with every bullet
big
hit.
one. Yeah,
It goes really extreme for this one in a like I get like emphasizing the main antagonist's death or this antagonist's death in that way, but the total combination of the ways they chose to do that felt very, very weird.
yeah. Like the when he kills the assistants, it's a lot more fun because like it's like you see him from the back, and it's like all those body squibs blowing out his back when he shoots
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, give us some of the. What, you couldn't squib up Vinny?
right. We want to squib up Vinny.
Which, also to their credit, because I feel like this was around the time that effects like that started getting like heavily digitized, like an entirely CGI. Like it, if those bullet hits on the dude that he kills before were digital, they looked great. I don't think they were. They were probably practical, but
I don't think they were too, because I remember like Survival of the Dead, which is 2009, has really awful CG bullet hits.
oh yeah,
And so like that's my kind of memory of like what the bad CG bullet hits of this time would be. And that would be the level that's in this movie for sure.
yeah. On a Stone Cold related note, all of the Expendables have those same awful digital bullet
Yeah.
hits.
I'm sure. I mean,
I
yeah,
I haven't
that's
even brought
awful.
myself to watch the newest one because I've heard like the VFX and it is
I've
so appallingly bad.
I've just
Oof.
heard nothing but terrible things about the fourth one, and I'm like, all right.
Like I don't anticipate it's going to be even remotely good, but I'm going to watch it because I've seen all of them. But it's the only one that I didn't see when it came out in theaters.
Hmm.
But like I've seen like just some stills where like their green screen is like I like this is worse than green screen that I've done when I was learning how to do green screen stuff.
Oh, woof. Woof. Uh, but the way this movie looks actually was something I was thinking about while watching it, and I also realized this is like just before digital cinema cameras entered the market in a big way and took over everything. Um, so this is kind of that brief era where like even crap looked of a certain degree of goodness because it was all being shot on 35 mil. And like the
Yeah.
people who shot 35 mil had to be competent at shooting 35 mil. Like you don't have to be that like, even the most amateur 35 millimeter DP that shot the worst like looking horror movie in the 80s was probably a better cinematographer than whoever shot that first movie we watched this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And that's a person that's like getting jobs on these movies that are paycheck movies. So like it's the very best of the bottom of the barrel kind of, just like paycheck movie kind of filmmaking on display here in The Condemned, which is cool because it's a capsule of a very specific time.
Yeah.
It was very true. Another thing I remember thinking was hilarious at the time was Vinnie Jones. Immediately, he like creates an alliance with a guy. Actor's name is Masa Yamaguchi, the Japanese guy, and so they form an alliance to go around killing people, and they get all these weapons and stuff. And the first night, and he's like, "Yeah," he gives him some stuff, and he's like, "You better limber up." And he starts doing like these flips and everything, and he's like, "Hey, calm down. That's you're going a little overboard." And I'm like,
he did a cartwheel, right?
Yeah, he did like
a one-handed cartwheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so funny that like he's like, we just had this full day of killing people and rape, but like, don't do a flip. That's too much. That's more.
Don't go that big. Come on, Japanese guy. I like that guy a lot, though. He was a lot of fun in his fight scenes.
Yeah, I got big Han from the Fast and the Furious movies vibes off that guy. Except for, a brutal murderer.
Yeah.
If you guys wanted to make me watch all the Fast and Furious, that's another podcast idea because I haven't seen a single one of those movies.
Most of them are, I think they're all enjoyable, but there are definitely a few that are lower than the others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just fall outside of the intersection of my Venn diagram in a broad way. So I've never taken the time.
For the most part, the longer it goes on, the better it gets.
I've heard that. I want to see the ridiculous ones, but I also kind of want to commit
with them, and then it's been going on a downturn. I think it hits its peak at like 5, 6, 7, and then starts going down.
Do we have 11 of them plus the spinoff now, or is it 10 plus the spinoff?
It's 11 including the spinoff.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the 10 main ones, and then there's Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I think 5 is definitely like the one that sets the tone for everything that follows. Mm-hmm. I'll go as I love 8. I love how stupid and over the top 8 is. 9 and 10 I feel like are just kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does 8 go to space?
No, that's 9.
Okay.
But it's done in such like a lazy afterthoughty kind of way that like it's not very satisfying.
No,
like I remember
it's not like Jason X or anything. It's
yeah.
Right.
Well, like we were literally, we saw it when we were driving to LA from Ohio. We stayed with a friend in Boulder for a couple of days, and we went and saw it together. And I was like, Ludacris and Tyrese are in space in a hoopty. I feel nothing.
Oof.
But Fate and Furious, like, Statham gets one of the most amazing fight scenes in the entire series on an airplane while he's like carrying a baby in a crib, which is pretty good.
I like those.
Yeah,
I like the baby defense action scenes.
Oh yeah, Statham is fantastic in these too. Like the second they introduced him, I was like, okay, you found out how to make me like these movies even more.
Yeah, I think. Did we talk about Statham last week for some reason?
Maybe.
We talked about him earlier this show. I don't know. He's a reliable performer. He's always fun to watch, even in dumb stuff.
They're common collaborators.
Yeah,
I suppose that's true, huh?
Yeah, they were in Lock, Stock, and Snatch together.
they were. How has Statham not been most dangerous game yet? I think he'd be great in most dangerous game.
Mm-hmm.
I would love someone to pitch that being the third Meg movie. Like some figure crack the code on what the intersection of the Meg and most dangerous game is, and then just do that.
I'll go you one better. The most dangerous crank.
Ooh.
I would love Crank 3. I would love Crank 3. Like, can you imagine? They didn't have GoPros when they made those movies.
No.
Yeah, that'd be went crazy. Was that Neville Dean?
That was Neville Dean and Taylor.
All right. Oh, no, I mean, which of the two went crazy?
Oh, Neville Dean went crazy.
Okay, I'll find Taylor and see if I can pitch him on my spec story idea for Frankenstein.
Ooh, I like Frankenstein. That sounds great.
Because he may be dead after high voltage. He might need brought back.
Oh man.
Possibly even built from the parts of other dead Stathams.
You know, I'm not always like the champion of the fan script that should have been an actual movie, but sometimes it's a real reality. Like that should exist.
Frankenstein has been sitting in my brain for a decade.
My
And
brother.
the only reason I haven't done anything is like, what am I gonna do? Write this script that will never get made, that I have no chance of getting made.
Right. That's why my brother's script for National Treasure 3 never it doesn't exist, but a treatment does. And the heist that he has to stop is all the money in the world. And there's a point,
Ridley
there's a
Scott made that
scene.
movie, and he was like, "It's all gone."
Oh,
Yeah. But there was a scene in National Treasure 3 as written by Robin Brunel where like I think it's the beginning of Act 3 where Nicolas Cage like holds a USB stick aloft and goes, all the money in the world. And there's the Illuminati and there's like secret passageways and like Justin Bartha has his B plot and all the components are there. It was like really good. Like I can't remember the specifics of it, but when he would tell the story, it's like I would watch this movie. This is they could make this.
yeah.
Twas not to be.
No.
Because twas not to
They
be
made
written.
a bad series on Disney Plus.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, I forgot that came and went.
Yeah,
Yep.
but we do have Nick Cage is going to be Spider-Man Noir.
Yes.
Oh, I did just read that. That's
That
kind of exciting.
I am very on board with.
And that is The Condemned.
Indeed. Sorry, now I'm just thinking about Frankenstein.
I mean, it's not a far leap. That's kind of like you're halfway there with the beginning of Crank 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not much different than high voltage.
It's not. Oh man, what movies? And I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm realizing I actually own all but I think Jonah Hex on Blu-ray. I think I just actually happen to own I own Ghost Rider 2 and Gamer and Crank 1 and 2.
Wait, Jonah Hex was Neville Dean and Taylor?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I saw that in theaters too. I don't know how I didn't realize that.
Well, I mean, it's the same. I feel like that's tantamount to like M. Night Shyamalan directing After Earth.
They wrote it, but
yeah.
Jimmy Hayward directed it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the correction. My bad.
Okay, that's what it's like. I felt like I would have like if I had seen Neville Dean and Taylor pop up as the directors on that. Oh,
yeah,
boy,
you would have made a
that
little bit
movie
more
is
of a mental note.
technically a movie.
It is technically.
Well,
a movie.
100%.
It does meet the technical qualifications.
It is not the comic movie I've ever seen because I still think that's it's probably between Catwoman and the Spirit, but
But
it's not good.
I have to watch it again because I haven't seen it since it came out, and I don't think it's good, but I actually really liked The Spirit when I saw it.
There are parts of it that I like. It definitely felt like Frank Miller was trying to do Sin City, but without like
Oh,
any kind of intention behind
totally.
it.
Totally. It as a from a directing standpoint, it's one of the worst hack jobs there is because it's just like he saw one guy direct one movie one time and it's like, got it. I got it.
Oh yeah, it's
You all
bad.
like
Like, I mean,
that?
even
Here's more.
yeah, like even Rodgers couldn't redo Sin City and make it good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it's well directed, but I do think it's weird in a kind of unique way.
There are some very bizarre choices made, so it's at least an interesting bad movie.
Yeah. And I remember there being a very good like toilet seat joke somewhere in the movie. I think there's like a toilet seat joke with Sam Jackson, or Sam Jackson throws a toilet at someone. There's something like that happens in the movie.
I think you have Boondock Saints.
No, I'm thinking of The Spirit, sir.
No, I know. Only
Oh
Troy
man.
Duffy is thinking about the Boondock Saints.
I don't know another filmmaker who has a documentary made by his friends about what an asshole they are. I don't know what other filmmaker ever achieved that.
Isn't
Surprisingly, not Bam Margera.
is Boondock Saints
Oh
3?
man.
Is that happening?
It's one of those things that like there are whispers about it, but like
They keep threatening to.
yeah,
Luckily, at
like
this
short
point,
of
like Norman Reedus is big enough that he can be like, no.
oh yeah, like I mean, and unless like Troy Duffy paid for it himself, I don't see how it would get made, especially after like just how abysmally All Saints Day did when it came out.
And that was kickstarted, wasn't it?
It might have been,
I don't-
but it also might have. God, everything's a blur. When did Kickstarter even begin?
Yeah, no, it wasn't, but I feel
'Cause,
like
yeah,
there's
because All
some.
Saints Day was like 2009, I want to say.
Yep, it's 2009.
Oh, I guess yeah, 20th Century Fox just paid for it. Wow. What was it? Oh, I might be thinking of SLC Punk.
Oh yeah, that definitely. If it wasn't crowdfunded, it felt like it because I got 10 minutes in and said, "Nope, I'm good."
Yeah, that was an Indiegogo funded movie.
There you go. Yeah, very
Yeah.
short list of movies that I have not finished, and that is one of them.
Yeah. I never made the attempt to try to watch it. Sad.
Yep. And that's The Condemned.
Yep.
uh,
For anyone curious, there is a sequel starring the WWE's Randy Orton
Yes, there's.
God.
I think there's even a third and a fourth one.
of The Condemned.
Yeah, The Condemned.
Oh no.
All right, I guess 2 is as far as they went. I really thought there was a.
There are
Yeah.
4 Marine movies,
Mm-hmm. That might be it.
and like it feels like everyone they have a different wrestler because John Cena was in the first one, and then I think Randy Orton was in one, and then The Miz, and then maybe someone else.
Everybody
Wes
can go
Studi's
watch
in the second one.
Sidney Pollock's 1966 This Property is Condemned with Natalie Wood and Robert Redford.
It's a great consolation prize.
Yeah.
So Trav, you picked out next week's movie. Tell us what it is and tell us how you came across it.
So I was on Letterboxd and I found, somebody who had made a list of movies like the ones we're covering, and I was just perusing through them, trying to find some interesting ones, and I came across one that I'm like, oh, this sounds like something I want to see. And it is called Punishment Park. It is a 1971 fake documentary film by Peter Watkins. In this fictional documentary, U.S. prisons are at capacity, and President Nixon declares a state of emergency. All new prisoners, most of whom are connected to the anti-war movement, are given the choice of jail time or spending 3 days in Punishment Park, where they will be hunted for sport by federal authorities.
Wow.
Sounds pretty awesome.
So yeah. And if you want to watch along, good luck.
Yes.
Seems to be streaming on something called FlixFling. I've never heard of that before in my life.
I see it pop up every once in a while when I'm like searching for something on Just Watch, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's the only thing that has some things.
So FlixFling, rent it for $4. This seems I'm really interested to watch this because, like, you know, I'm not like maybe specifically familiar with Peter Watkins's movies, but I'm familiar with his existence as, you know, a filmmaker. And I've never heard of this movie. Mm-hmm. It's apparently very good.
Yeah.
And it seems horrifyingly depressing. Like, just terribly, like this is going to make me upset watching this movie.
Well, I mean, my previous
not in a bad
pick
way,
upset us all, but like hopefully this
right
is upsetting in a competently made fashion.
I'll take upsetting in a thought-provoking way, not upsetting in a why did I have to spend my life this way kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
So that is going to be next week. It's going to be a rousing good time, maybe, but we will see. So in the meantime, Dustin, where can people find more of you?
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram at Dustin Meadows. My YouTube's Dustin Meadows Comedy. It's where all my short films live, some of my score work and all that. You can follow me on all those.
Cool. And Alex, how about you?
You can follow me on Letterboxd, which I promise I will get back to keeping up eventually, where my username is Alex Brunel. And I follow like 5 people. Kyle MacLachlan's on Letterboxd now, by the way, everybody.
Hell yeah.
He made a list of Dale Cooper's picks and a list of Paul Atreides' picks. So there's that's going on in the Letterboxd whole thing.
What about his character from the Flintstones picks?
Ooh,
I'll check in with his profile. He might get to that. He posted a social video on like Instagram a couple years ago with the Cliff outfit. Like, he still has the wardrobe.
That's amazing.
From the Flintstones. He was proud of the role, it seemed. So
he was great in it.
It's a really special movie, and he's great in it.
Proud of that.
I agree.
It's like production design wise, everything.
No, it's stunning to look at. Its existence is so unlikely. It is the peak of whatever the hell the 90s were doing with that type of cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really special time capsule. It's really something to behold. It's truly a work of art that, like, and think it, like, all of that was probably destroyed, like, or most of it.
Cowards.
Seriously. And while I'm still talking about Letterboxd a little bit, go find Travis, you made a list of this podcast's films on Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
which you can find on Travis's profile.
There you go. I'm also on there at Dustin Meadows. I always forget to mention mine too.
There you go.
You can find me at all of those things as well. You can find, you can reach the show at whowatchespodcast@gmail.com. And so until next week, stay alive and survive.